Very simple. Every single one of Boogeyman's matches that he had on SmackDown, I'm going to cover today. And this video might actually be a quick one, despite the fact that I have 20 matches to cover today. Boogeyman's first match will be on the December 2nd, 2005 episode of SmackDown. Tony Chimel looks confused as he reintroduces Simon Dean, who is being forced out here to the ring by a bunch of security dudes. The escape is foiled several times as Boogeyman got the SVR07 look with the clock and his special staff, and Simon hides behind the referee as Boogeyman then does a special air hump. The bell rings and Simon has shit in his drawers. Boogeyman stares at the ref for a while before Simon takes a running start and then shits his pants some more. Dean grabs his bag and throws a protein bar at him. Boogeyman pulls out some worms and has himself a little mid-match snack as he then tosses a fistful of worms at Simon. He then grabs him by the throat and gives Simon the Boogie Slam to secure a 3 count. Next week on SmackDown, and Ray Gordy, also known as Jesse or Slim Master J, takes on the Boogeyman as Gordy's replacement opponent on the terms of network exec Palmer Cannon. Gordy gets a punch on Boogeyman. Boogeyman then grabs him by the throat, takes a bite of some worms, and then double choke tosses Gordy out of the corner. Boogs grabs him by the throat, knees him in the gut, and then drops Gordy with a pump handle power slam, and then regurgitates some worms on Gordy during his pin. Next week on SmackDown, and Boogeyman is back in action against the full-blooded Italians Nunzio, accompanied by Big Vito. Nunzio ass bumps to start off the match, and it's looking like Hell's Hotbox during this match as Boogeyman traps Nunzio's arm, traps the other, and starts headbutting his chest. SmackDown locker room is watching this match in horror as Boogeyman gets a health boost from the Nightcrawlers, goozles Nunzio, and then tosses him back into the corner. Boogeyman then gives Nunzio the pump handle power slam for his 3rd win in a row. Vito tries to get on the ropes, but he gets shit in his britches and runs away as Boogeyman puts some worms in Nunzio's mouth. Month and a half later, and we're on pay-per-view at the Royal Rumble 2006 event, and the Boogeyman gets his first pay-per-view match against JBL. JBL powders during the entrance as Boogeyman waves his worm at JBL, who is hiding behind Jillian. John yells at the ref to get the worm out, which Boogs then just eats anyway. JBL hides behind Jillian again, as he then pushes her into the Boogeyman, getting his paint all over her arms. Boogs gets on top of Jillian and drops some worms on her face, and JBL starts working Boogie stiff.
There's a worm sticking out of a cleavage, for God's sakes!
JBL tosses Boogs outside, right into the stairs, right into the announce table. He then eats a boot and folds over the stairs. JBL takes his wrist tape off and starts choking Boogeyman with it as Jillian then distracts the referee. Boogeyman double goozles John before he gets a thumb to Boogs' eye. John looks for the clothesline from hell, but he goes shoulder first into the ring post. Boogeyman then powers JBL up and hits the pump handle power slam for the 3 count. Almost 3 weeks later, and Orlando Jordan is on SmackDown, and he says there's no one in the locker room that he can't beat. Answering the open challenge is our Boogeyman. Orlando starts beating up Boogeyman in the corner, but Boogs is a freak and catches Jordan's leg and gives him a clothesline. He then pops Jordan up with a power slam and picks up the 3 count. Boogeyman then takes a big old chomp of a big old handful of worms and drips it onto Orlando's chest. Probably not the grossest thing Orlando has had on his chest, to be honest. 2 days later on WWE Heat, or rather the dark match before No Way Out 2006, and Simon Dean comes out here on his Segway. Simon then says that he can beat anyone as well, as the Boogeyman then answers the open challenge. Boogeyman is munching some crawlers as Simon tries to use the ref as a human shield. Simon offers his bag to Boogs and then gives him a cheap shot and goes on the offensive. He immediately nails Simon in his throat, double goozles him, but Simon escapes and then gets laid out with a lariat. Boogs tosses Simon out of the corner, double goozles him again, and gives him the pump handle power slam with some slight convulsions and picks up the victory. Next episode of SmackDown, and Booker T is on commentary for a handicap match. Our team of The Dicks, made up of James Dick and Chad Dick, respectfully taking on the Boogeyman. The Dicks are trembling. He scares one of them off before he tries to ping pong him. Boogeyman smacks one of the Dicks down, throws another Dick into a corner, and gives him a body slam. The other Dick gets clotheslined to the floor. Boogeyman gets smacked by the before Dick, and Dick slaps him in the face. He does it again and again, but Boogs then double tosses him into his Dick brother, who destroys the announce table, sort of. Boogs lifts up the Dick and gives him a sit-out Kali bomb as the ref counts 3 and forgets to ring the bell, as he then loads up the Dick with worms. Penis. We now go to a special event that took place in New Zealand. Held on March 4th, 2006, it was actually WWE's first event broadcast in New Zealand, and it aired exclusively on WWE 24/7 in the US. JBL would have his promo interrupted by the Boogeyman, who gets a super dope entrance in this venue. Boog scares the shit out of Jillian before Orlando Jordan appears and attacks the Boogmeister. Orlando then gives Boogs a neck breaker as Jimmy Corderas comes down and makes the match official. Orlando gives Boogie a back suplex and only gets a 2 count. Jordan holds Boogeyman in a chin lock for a while, before he then locks his side headlock in for a while.
I move my bowels on a regular basis, actually.
Boogeyman eats the turnbuckle, but not really, before he then double goozles Orlando. Orlando then gets the whip counter with a back elbow. Boogie splash into the corner, Orlando gives him a boot to the face. Jordan climbs to the top and gets caught in the choke and then dropped with the sit-out Kali bomb for the win. 1 month later at WrestleMania 22, and we see Booker T and Sharmell making their way down to the ring for a handicap match. Booker looks for his opponent under the ring, but he ain't there as they will face the Boogeyman. Booker gets on the apron to start this match off, which is funny. Sharmell then retreats and Booker gives Boogs a cheap shot. Booker gets double goozled, he then gives Boogie a dick kick as the ref is distracted and gives him the super kick for a 2 count. Boogs eats some more rights as Booker can't believe this shit. Booker then ducks a line and gives Boogeyman the bookend for a 2 count. This next sequence is pretty sloppy. Boogs with the double palm strike, Boogs accidentally knees Booker in the head, Booker misses the scissors kick, and Boogie stiff elbows Booker right in the mouth. Booker then goes shoulder first into the corner, and then Boogeyman reaches for his pocket spaghetti and takes a munch. Sharmell steals Boog's staff, he turns around, and then Sharmell shits herself. Boogeyman grabs her and gives her a kiss with a mouthful of worms. Sharmell then runs off screaming and crying with worm stuff all over her face. Booker eats the corner, and then the sit-out Kali bomb will score Boogie his 9th televised victory in a row. So sadly, it says that Boogs would suffer a biceps tear while training and actually still competed during this match injured, but he would also be released because of his injury, but several objections were made that led to his rehiring. Who the hell wanted to rehire the Boogeyman? 7 months later, and we're back on SmackDown on November 10th, 2006, and the Boogeyman is also back, and he's coming to get jobber TJ Dalton tonight in his return match. TJ tries to run away during his entrance, but Boogs just grabs him by the gizzard and throws him into the ring as the match is now officially underway. Boogeyman stalks Dalton in the corner and tries to kick, but he gets caught, pulled in, and already has worms in his mouth as TJ punches him in the face. Boogs headbutts Dalton down, grabs him, and hits the boogie drop and secures the win. Next week on SmackDown, and the Boogeyman returns to Manchester. Weird, that's also where the DX video took place. Anyway, the Boogeyman has another handicap match going up against The Miz and Crystal. The Miz starts this off for his team as Boogs gets booted in the gut and slammed into the turnbuckle. Boogeyman chokes Miz, Miz tries to fight off the choke. Crystal then gets on the back of Boogs, and then Boogs just slams her down, and it looks like Crystal actually injured her knee on the landing. Miz makes it worse and hits Boogeyman, making his knee collide with Crystal's head. Crystal is injured for real, as Miz clotheslines Boogs down. Boogs hits Miz in the face with a fistful of worms, and then Boogs pulls Crystal by her bad leg, takes a bite of some worms, and then starts regurgitating on Crystal. He spits some worm juice right into her mouth. Ew! What the fuck? Match then just ends. No one pins or submits or counts out, so I guess just a no contest. Flash next week on SmackDown, and the Boogeyman gets a singles match against the man who got away, The Miz. The Miz has a mic and says he's gonna stay undefeated by kicking Boogs' ass, and no one can beat Miz. Miz starts saying, "Too many hoorahs," before Miz gets clotheslined over the top. Miz runs away from Boogs. Miz waits for Boogs' back to be turned and starts the offense and starts the knee lifts. Miz hits a drop kick and nails it too. Miz grabs Boogs and he's got a case of worm mouth as Miz then runs to the outside and fucks off to the back as the ref gets some worm spit on him. Boogs then just says fuck it and choke bombs the referee before spitting the worms all over him. I guess this is also a no contest. 23 days later, and we're back on pay-per-view at Armageddon 2006, and The Miz is going to get another one-on-one encounter with the Boogeyman. Weird gyrations to start this match off. Boogie sucks up a worm. Miz gets his leg caught and brought in for a clothesline. He eats another, and Miz decides to take a breather. Boogs hip tosses Miz into the ring by his mohawk. Miz gets an elbow on Boogs out of the corner. Miz then sidesteps and Boogs eats the ring post. Boogs back body drop on Miz. Miz gets a kick out of the corner and then scales the top. He then gets caught and dropped with the Boogie Bomb for the 3 count and to end the Miz's undefeated streak with a droplet of worm. 2 months later, and the Boogeyman returns from the bottomless pit to take on the Belfast brawler, Finlay. Finlay kicks the ropes in frustration and horror. Finlay gets scared and headbutts Boogeyman, hurting himself in the process. Finlay drops some bows on Boogie and they are going into this match. Finlay jumps off the middle rope and eats a boot. Boog starts feeding up and gives Finlay a clothesline. Big strike to the throat, he lays out Finlay with a sit-out power slam. He then follows up with a splash soon after. Finlay fights off the choke attempt, and then Boogie throws a very straight big boot, as we then see Lil Bastard appear, and Boogeyman steals him. Bastard is begging for his life as Boogs pulls out the worms. Finlay then smacks Boogie in the knee with the shillelagh while the ref checks on Lil Bastard. Finlay covers Boogs and scores the win as Lil Bastard runs to the back to safety. Next week on SmackDown, and we get a rematch between Boogeyman and Finlay. Finlay appears from the back rooms and attacks Boogie during his entrance and drives his spine into the apron and then tosses him into the stairs. Boogs gets a boot out of the corner, but he eats a Finlay clothesline for a 2 count. Finlay tries to pull Boogeyman's leg, but he holds onto the bottom rope and throws Finlay to the floor. Boogie gets his comeback when Finley gets back into the ring and gives him the Manhattan and a corner running ass. Boogie misses a splash and gets spiked with a rear clothesline. Finley starts undoing the top turnbuckle, but the ref starts readjusting, and then Finley grabs the shillelagh. Bastard appears with his own shillelagh and hits Boogs with it. All of a sudden, we then see Little Boogeyman, who then spears Little Bastard and starts a cat fight. I completely forgot about Little Boogeyman until I watched this match. Boogs hits Finley in the gut with his staff and then pins Finley for the 1-2-3 as he gyrates with his little homie on the outside. Boogeyman grabs some pocket worms and then the Boogie Bros eat some Nightcrawlers together. 2 days later, and we're on pay-per-view as Finley and Lil Bastard take on the Boogeyman and Lil Boogie in a tag team encounter at No Way Out 2007. The Boogeyman and Finley start off this match with JBL saying,
"You're xenophobic."
Says the guy who literally did Border Patrol, but okay. Boog smacks Finley in the mush, slams his head on the barricade. Finley misses an elbow, followed by the Boogeyman hitting a boot in the ring. Boogs with the sit-out scoop slam. El Boogie hits the ass drop, then another ass drop before he gets some nourishment from his father. Lil Bastard is asking for the tag under the ring before he just gets in there, puts his hat on Finley and pulls up his sleeves before Finley just boots the little guy in the head. El Boogie scores a 2 off the small package, which is hilarious seeing Finley actually work with a little person. Finley tosses the little guy to the floor and Hornswoggle takes him back to the depths of hell under the ring, but the real Boogeyman appears and scares Finley. Finley then boots him in anger. Boogeyman with the reverse Manhattan, he then slingshots Finley into the turnbuckle. Boogs gives Finley a clothesline. Boogs then tosses his little friend for a splash, but Lil Bastard breaks up the pin. Boogs grabs a handful of worms and Lil Bastard runs away. Finley hits El Boogie with the shillelagh when the ref's back was turned and picks up the 3 count. 2 months later and we're back in the UK on SmackDown as the big red monster Kane makes his way down to the ring for a tag team match with his partner being the Boogeyman, and they take on the team of Dave Taylor and William Regal. Kane and William Regal will start this match off. Boogeyman literally does nothing for a lot of this match until he hits a clothesline on Dave Taylor on the outside. Boogie again does nothing until Kane gets the hot tag. Regal with the flurry of strikes that are ineffective as he then gets planted with a body slam. He then gives him an uppercut, but Taylor breaks up the pin. Kane boots Regal in the head, and then Boogie hits the Boogie Bomb and scores the win for his team. Next week on SmackDown, and the Boogeyman returns with Lil Boogie in his corner to take on William Regal with Dave Taylor in his corner.
What'd he do, Breed?
Regal and Boogie hammer on each other. Dave gets a missed clothesline, and then Regal takes advantage and gives one of his own, and then boots Boogie in the shoulder against the ring post. Boogie fires up with the lefts and rights, and then corner checks Regal before he gives him the choke bomb, and then Dave Taylor boots him and gives Boogeyman the disqualification victory. Taylor then boots El Boogie, and then Kane's pyro then hit, and he comes to the Boogie Bros rescue. 3 weeks later, and we get the Saturday night's main event 34, and we have the rematch of the decade as Finley and Hornswoggle take on the Boogeyman and El Boogie. Boogeyman and Finley will start off this match with a shot of a pouch of worms. Boogie hits the Manhattan and delivers a splash before he gets the tag to El Boogie. Lil Boogie gets his shit smacked. Same spot that they did at No Way Out. Boogie tries to snatch Hornswoggle, who hightails it up the ramp. Finley then gives Lil Boogie a boot to the head and then pins him for the win. Our final match of the video takes us back to SmackDown on June 8th, 2007. The Boogeyman gyrates down to the ring with El Boogie as he takes on the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, who is absolutely dripping. Boogs ducks a line and starts hammering on Henry, but Mark headbutts his shit and elbows him in the jaw. Mark locks in the side bear hug before Boogeyman just gets tossed aside. Henry then boots the fuck out of El Boogie. Mark hits the world's strongest slam and scores a 3 count before dumping Boogeyman to the floor. To send this video off, Mark Henry hits the world's strongest slam and a splash on El Boogie. And that, my friends, was every match that the Boogeyman had during his run on SmackDown. Get ready for OVW and ECW, motherfuckers. I'll see you guys next time.